Picture this. The ambulance doors slam shut, lights flashing, sirens wailing, and somewhere inside that vehicle, one of the most powerful men in the history of professional wrestling is lying on a stretcher, bloodied, broken, and completely alone because the man driving that ambulance is not a paramedic. He is very much not a paramedic. And Paul Heyman, the special counsel, the Oracle, the self-proclaimed greatest manager in the history of the business, has just been kidnapped on live television. And that is not even the most insane thing that happened on Monday Night Raw this week. Welcome back to Wrestling Impact. If you are new here, you have chosen the absolute best possible week to show up, because what went down on this past Monday was the kind of television that makes you call your friend at 11 o'clock at night just to scream, "Did you see that?" into the phone. The road to WrestleMania 42 is officially in full chaos mode, and sitting right at the center of it all is an announcement, a quiet, almost bureaucratic little announcement from Raw General Manager Adam Pearce that has completely detonated the entire landscape of WWE heading into the grandest stage of them all. So let's go back to the beginning. Let's talk about how Monday Night Raw opened, and why that opening segment might be one of the best cold opens this show has delivered in years. The music hits. Out comes the Vision, or at least what's left of it. Logan Paul, Austin Theory, and the man himself, Paul Heyman, walking that aisle with the kind of arrogance that only people who've been humiliated will reach for when they need to cover the wound. And the wound is deep. Because at Elimination Chamber, Seth Rollins, the man the Vision betrayed, the man they left for dead, the man they thought they had buried, came back. He came back wearing a mask, and he cost Logan Paul the entire match. He cost the Vision their moment. And now here they are, 3 days later, standing in the middle of a Raw ring trying to pretend they're still in control. Paul Heyman grabs the microphone, and look, whatever you think of the man, whatever side of this story you're on, you cannot deny that when Paul Heyman talks, time stops. He accused Seth Rollins of stealing credit, stealing the Vision, stealing the Shield. He said Rollins would face consequences the next time he set foot in front of them. He looked into that camera with those cold, calculating eyes, and he said, and I'm paraphrasing here, "It's not a prediction. It's not a spoiler. It's a personal guarantee." Austin Theory grabbed the mic and did his thing, reminding everyone that he and Rollins go back years and that Rollins' future is going absolutely nowhere. And then Logan Paul, still stinging, still raw, took his turn and called Rollins a scumbag. He said Rollins robbed him of WrestleMania. He said the show wasn't moving forward until Seth came out and answered for what he'd done. And right then, right at that peak moment of manufactured outrage, the music hits. Adam Pearce comes walking down that ramp. And this is where it gets interesting. Pearce is not a man who raises his voice often. He's measured, deliberate, the kind of authority figure who's been around long enough to know that screaming doesn't solve problems. He came to that ramp flanked by security, and he told the Vision very clearly, "Get out of his ring." He accused them of attacking GUSO the previous week, a blindside assault that conveniently opened up a spot in the men's Elimination Chamber match for Logan Paul to slide right into. Heyman, of course, played innocent, dramatic hands clutched to his chest, wounded expression on full display. "We had nothing to do with that," he insisted, and then, almost in the same breath, promised they'd plead guilty in advance for whatever they were going to do to Seth Rollins. And then Pearce made the announcement. It was almost understated, the way he said it. Just matter of fact, the way a doctor delivers a diagnosis, serious, measured, final. He revealed to the entire world, live on Monday Night Raw, that Seth Rollins is not medically cleared to compete. Despite the return, despite the mask, despite everything, despite Rollins practically announcing his own comeback at Elimination Chamber, the two-time world heavyweight champion cannot wrestle. He is not cleared by the doctors. He cannot step between those ropes in an official capacity. Now think about what that means for a second. Really sit with it. Seth Rollins came back like a lightning bolt. The entire WWE Universe lost its collective mind when he was unmasked. The energy, the electricity, the unfinished business, it was all there. WrestleMania is weeks away. Allegiant Stadium in Las Vegas is waiting. 60,000 people are going to fill that building on April 18th and 19th, and the Seth Rollins chapter of this story is supposed to be one of the defining arcs of the night. And now the GM of Monday Night Raw is standing on national television confirming that Rollins can't compete. That the man whose return lit the fuse might not be able to hold the match at the end of it. That is the tragic announcement. And it landed like a stone in still water. But here's the thing about Seth Rollins, and if you've followed him for any length of time, you already know that Seth Rollins does not operate inside the boundaries of what he's allowed to do. Adam Pearce had barely finished his sentence before chaos erupted. A masked man appeared in the crowd. Security gave chase. Another one emerged, bolting through the arena. Logan Paul tore after him. A third came down the aisle, slow and deliberate, drawing every eye in the building. Austin Theory went scrambling to pursue. And suddenly, Paul Heyman was alone in that ring. The special counsel, the architect of so many schemes, the man who always has a plan B and a plan C and a plan D standing alone, head on a swivel, watching shadows move around the arena like a man who just realized the trap was never about catching anyone. And then there was a figure at ringside, on the apron, chair in hand. The crowd noise is indescribable. It doesn't even register as human sound at that point, it's just energy, raw and electric, pouring out of Gainbridge Fieldhouse in Indianapolis as the fifth masked man unmasks himself. And it's Seth Rollins. Of course it's Seth Rollins. It was always going to be Seth Rollins. He doesn't hesitate. He doesn't monologue. He doesn't give Heyman a moment to run. He steps through those ropes and drives that steel chair across Paul Heyman's back with everything he has. A deliberate, devastating callback because fans who've been here long enough remember that the Shield broke apart over a chair shot. Rollins knows his history. He's always known his history. And now he's writing a new chapter of it. Heyman crumples. And Rollins lines it up. That cocked left knee, that coiling of energy, that unmistakable setup, the curb stomp. Right to the back of Paul Heyman's skull. The Oracle, the Wiseman, driven face first into the canvas, left bloodied and motionless while Seth Rollins slips back into the crowd like a ghost. And then the medical team rushes in. They help Heyman to the back. They get him loaded into an ambulance. This is the part where it should be over, right? This is the part where the segment wraps up and Raw moves on? Austin Theory comes racing out, genuinely panicked, trying to get to Heyman, and Jimmy USO blindsides him in the parking lot. Meanwhile, the Usos delivering 1D to Theory later in the night made it clear this faction war has tentacles spreading in every direction. And the ambulance? The ambulance with Paul Heyman strapped inside? LA Knight climbs into the driver's seat. And he drives away. On live television. With Paul Heyman in the back. "I'll make sure he gets the care he deserves," Knight said through that grin of his. The arena exploded. Nobody knew whether to laugh, scream, or check if this was actually legal. That is how Monday Night Raw opened. That is the state of things heading into WrestleMania 42. Now let's talk about the bigger picture here, because beyond the spectacle, and make no mistake, it was spectacular, there are real, significant questions that this segment raised, and they deserve to be discussed. First and foremost, what does Rollins being not medically cleared actually mean for WrestleMania? The creative puzzle is complicated right now in ways that the audience can feel even if they don't know all the specifics. Braun Breaker, who was supposed to have a massive WrestleMania moment with Rollins after being targeted by the masked attacker at Royal Rumble, is now sidelined with a hernia. Bronson Reed is out with a shoulder injury. The original architecture of this Vision storyline has been stress-tested and partially demolished by real-world circumstances beyond anyone's control. And so Seth Rollins, the man who was supposed to reclaim his throne by going through the people who betrayed him most deeply, now finds himself in a position where his most personal enemies are unavailable, and Logan Paul, a man who wasn't even a member of the Vision during the betrayal, is seemingly the opponent waiting for him. To say fans have feelings about that would be putting it gently. But here's where I want to push back a little on the cynicism, because WWE has shown this season that they know how to pivot. And the way this Monday segment was constructed tells me the creative team is swinging for something. The medical clearance announcement isn't just a throwaway line of dialogue, it's a storytelling device. It raises the stakes. It puts Rollins in a position where every time he shows up, every time he strikes, he's doing so outside the protection of sanctioned competition. He's a man acting on pure fury with nothing to lose and no guardrails to hold him back. That's not a limitation in the right hands, that's the most dangerous version of Seth Rollins there is. And the way he dismantled Heyman? Surgical, calculated, personal. The chair shot as historical echo. The stomp as punctuation. This isn't the Seth Rollins who wins because he's the better athlete, this is the Seth Rollins who wins because he studied every moment of his own betrayal until he understood it better than the people who executed it. He is coming for all of it. Every debt. Every slight. Every whisper in every backstage corridor where the Vision plotted against him. Logan Paul may not be Braun Breaker, but Logan Paul is there. And Logan Paul, whatever you think of him, is money on the microphone, money in the building, and if you've been watching, better in the ring than he has any right to be. That match, if they build to it properly, can work. The question is whether WWE trusts the journey enough to make it feel earned by the time April comes around. As for Paul Heyman, look, wherever LA Knight drove that ambulance, we're all deeply concerned. We're not concerned at all, he's absolutely fine, but in the world of the story? Paul Heyman is out there somewhere, at the mercy of a man who once called himself the guy. And that is a situation. That is very much a situation. What I love about this is that it proves something this WrestleMania season has been trying to establish, that no one is safe anymore. The Shield, the factions, the allegiances, they were always temporary. They were always weapons, not friendships. And Seth Rollins, standing in that ring with steel chair in hand, reminded everyone that he was there before the vision existed. He built it. He bled for it. And now he's tearing it apart one pillar at a time, whether the doctors clear him or not. The announcement Adam Pearce made was tragic, yes. It tells a story of a man fighting against his own physical limitations, burning so hot with purpose that the medical establishment can't contain him. It tells a story of an authority figure who said the right words and then watched them become completely irrelevant in the span of 4 minutes. It tells a story of Paul Heyman, the great manipulator, finally on the receiving end of a manipulation he didn't see coming, caught without armor, without a plan, without anyone to stand between him and the man he helped discard. And for those of us who have been watching this story unfold since Crown Jewel, since the betrayal that started it all, this Monday felt like the first true exhale. Rollins is back. He's angry. He's not waiting for permission. And WrestleMania 42 is less than 7 weeks away. The road gets wilder from here. The questions get bigger. And if this week taught us anything, it's that the most dramatic moments of this WrestleMania season are still ahead of us. Rollins needs to get cleared. Heyman needs to be found. The vision needs to be dismantled. And somewhere in Las Vegas, inside Allegiant Stadium on those 2 beautiful April nights, it all has to pay off. I am so here for every second of it. If you are too, if this kind of deep dive into the chaos and the storytelling and the emotion of what WWE is building right now is exactly why you come back to this channel, then you know what to do. Hit that like button so more people find this video. Drop your take in the comments because I want to know, do you think Seth Rollins gets medically cleared before WrestleMania? Or does he compete at the Showcase of Immortals without ever getting the official sign-off? That is a question worth fighting over. Subscribe to Wrestling Impact if you haven't yet, because we are going to be breaking down every twist and turn between here and April, and you do not want to miss a single one. The season is alive. The story is electric. And we are just getting started.